Hello, dear students. I'm Dr. Bindu, an assistant professor in zoology at Srimati Aruna Asaf Ali Government PG College, Kalka. Under the aegis of Directorate of Higher Education, Haryana, we have recorded some lectures for undergraduate zoology students. In this video lecture, we will study the type study of Pheretima posthuma, which is commonly known as earthworm. The type study of earthworm has been recorded in parts. In this part of the video, we will learn about what are earthworms and why do we study about them. Where do they belong in kingdom Animalia, or what is their systematic position? Where are earthworms found? How they look? We will discuss the external morphology, how they move, the mode of locomotion, what and how it eats and removes its undigested food, where we will discuss the digestive system in detail. Let us address the first question. What are earthworms? Earthworms are reddish brown colored segmented worms which are nocturnal in habit, which means they are active during night times. But during rainy season, they come out of their burrows at daytime also because their burrows get filled with water. Why earthworms are important? Earthworms are important organism in any ecosystem because they are natural tillers of land. While burrowing, they make the soil loose and porous. They increase the fertility of soil. As the castings of earthworm, which look like this and is a common sight in our gardens and grounds, they increase the fertility of soil as they contain many organic matters. Vermiform culture or vermiculture is a famous practice where various species of earthworms they are used to decompose kitchen waste and many other human wastes. They convert that waste into vermicompost, which is a natural manure or green manure. If we talk about the systematic position of earthworm in kingdom Animalia, they are put in phylum Annelida because metameric segmentation is present, nephridia is present for excretion, and they have elongated worm-like bodies. They are put in class Oligochaeta because there is a presence of permanent clitellum, CT per segment, and absence of head. They belong to order Terricoli because they are terrestrial organisms without asexual reproduction. Genus Ferritima is identified by female genital pore, which is single, and male genital pore is present as one pair. Clitellar segments are 14th, 15th, and 16th. And how do we identify that it is posthumous species of Ferritima genus? Male gonopore is present on 18th, genital papillon 17th and 19th segment. If there is this type of arrangement, then it is definitely posthumous species. But Ferritima posthuma is not the only species of earthworm which is common sight in India. There are other common genus of earthworms like Megascolex is found in South India and Dravida is also common in South India. Eutaphius is found in North India while Lumbricus is a common sight in Europe. Now let us come to the habit and habitat of earthworms. Earthworms are nocturnal organisms, as I already told you. They are active during night times. They are terrestrial and make burrows during daytime. They live in their burrows. At night or during rainy season, they come out of their shelter. They are common sight in regions where the soil is rich in humus or organic content, but they are absent in regions where the soil is sandy and deficient in humus. Let us discuss the external morphology of earthworm. They are elongated, narrow, and cylindrical worms about 20 centimeter in length and 3 to 5 millimeter in width. Dorsal side of body is darker in color as compared to ventral side, which is lighter in color. The dark brown color on dorsal side is due to the presence of pigment porphyrin. The dorsal side can also be distinguished as we can see the dorsal vessel through their thin epidermis. So the side where thread-like maroon thread-like structure is present is the dorsal side, and the opposite side, which is comparatively lighter in color, is the ventral side. This is dorsal side, and this maroon thread-like structure is dorsal blood vessel. Further, the body in earthworm is soft and naked. Naked means they do not have any exoskeleton like hair or scales. The body is made up of series of 100 to 120 similar segments known as metameres. Metameres are separated from each other by intersegmental ring-like grooves, or they are also known as annuli. The external segmentation corresponds to internal segmentation and is referred as metameric segmentation or true segmentation. The segment 14 to 16 from anterior end, they are covered in a thick glandular tissue sheet, and this tissue sheet is known as clitellum or saddle or cingulum. On the basis of presence of this clitellum, body may be divided into three parts or three regions. The region which bears clitellum is known as clitellar region. The region before clitellum is the preclitellar region, and the region of body after clitellum is known as postclitellar region. Formation of a distinct head is absent in pheretima. It is also called as cephalization. Cephalization is absent in pheretima. Anterior end is more pointed than posterior end. What we see in other worms, that anterior end is blunt and rounded while the posterior end is pointed, which we call as tail. But in case of earthworms, when both the ends are fully stretched, anterior end is more pointed as compared to posterior end. As I said, in earthworm the body is segmentally arranged. Some of the segments have distinct names like peristomium. Peristomium is the very first segment which bears mouth. Mouth is present on relatively ventral surface. Prostomium is a fleshy lobe extension from peristomium. So prostomium is not a segment, it is an extended lobe from peristomium. The last segment which bears anus is known as pygidium. Here we can see the diagrammatic as well as pictorial presentation of these segments. This is diagrammatic representation of peristomium and prostomium. Peristomium is the first segment which bears mouth on its ventral surface, and a fleshy lobe which is extended from peristomium is known as prostomium. Here in this is a enlarged picture of anterior part of earthworm, which clearly shows that prostomium is a fleshy lobe extended from peristomium, and peristomium bears a ventrally placed mouth. The next thing to discuss in external morphology of earthworm are the various pores through which its body communicates with outside environment. Other than mouth and anus, which are present in first and last segment respectively, there are other apertures also. For example, spermatical apertures. Spermatical apertures are those apertures through which spermaticae communicate outside. Spermaticae are small pouch-like organs which are part of reproductive system. The ventrolateral side, they are present on the ventrolateral side of intersegmental grooves between segment 5th, 6th, 6th, 7th, 7th, 8th and 8th, 9th. Then there are nephridiopores. Nephridiopores are the apertures through which nephridia opens outside. Nephridia are excretory organs of earthworm, and there are different types of nephridia in earthworms. Some of them open outside while others open into the alimentary canal. Those nephridia which open outside, they open on the ventral surface, and the apertures or their openings are present on all segments except first six and last one. There are dorsal pores which are present on mid-dorsal line one pore in each intersegmental groove behind 12th segment onwards, except on the last one. They are not present on the last segment. Through this dorsal pore, a small amount of coelomic fluid is always oozing out of the earthworm's body, which helps in keeping the skin moist and ultimately helps in respiration. Further, a few more openings of reproductive systems are present on the ventral surface of organism. As earthworm is an hermaphrodite organism, both male and female reproductive systems are present in one body. The opening of female reproductive system, also known as female genital aperture, is single and is present on midventral line of 14th segment in clitellar region. The male genital apertures are paired and are present on the ventrolateral sides of 18th segment just below the clitellum. Genital papillae are present in 17th and 19th segment. They have the openings of accessory glands which are part of male reproductive system, and they bear cup-like structures which help in holding together two worms during copulation. Till now we have discussed the external morphology of earthworm. Let us now come to the body wall of earthworm. The body wall of earthworm comprises of cuticle, epidermis, well-developed musculature and coelomic epithelium. It is an organ of significance because not only it provides shape, structure and protection to the organism, it is also the site of respiration. Cuticle in earthworm is thin, elastic and non-cellular. It is secreted by underlying epidermis, and from here and there it is perforated by minute pores. Epidermis is single layered with cells of different types and different functions. There are secretory cells or gland cells which include goblet cell, which are mucus secreting cells, and albumin cell which secrete albumin. In between there are various columnar epithelial cells which are known as supporting cells. As their name indicate, they support various other types of cells in body wall. Then there are small and conical basal cells which are present at the inner ends of columnar epithelial cells. These basal cells divide to form various types of goblet cells and supporting cells. Sensory cells or receptor cells are narrow columnar cells occurring here and there in small groups. Each sensory cell has small sensory hair at its free end, and they are sensitive to external stimuli. That may be touch, that may be chemical, or it may be light. The musculature in earthworm is very well developed. As we can see, there is a thick layer of circular as well as longitudinal muscles in Annelida. Then there is coelomic epithelium. Coelomic epithelium lies between the body wall musculature and coelom. It consists of a single layer of thin cells. It is the outer envelope of coelomic cavity, and hence it is called as parietal or somatic layer of coelomic epithelium. So, we have discussed in the body wall of earthworm there are two types of muscles, circular muscles and longitudinal muscles. There are two additional types of musculature which are associated with cetal sac in the body wall of earthworm. Now, what is cetal sac? Cetal sac is a small bag-like structure which bears a bristle-like structure which we call as seta, and the plural is setae. There is a pair of protractor muscle and a single retractor muscle. These setae and protractor and retractor muscles contraction, it helps in locomotion of earthworm. Now, if we go into detail of seta, these setae are formed of chitin and they are arranged in middle of each segment like a ring of tiny curved bristles, and approximately 80 to 120 bristles, such bristles are present in each segment except the first segment which is peristomium, last segment which is pygidium, and the segments which bear clitellum. Each seta has three parts: a neck, a nodule, and the base. The nodule and the base part are embedded in the body wall while the neck is protruding outside. And these bristle-like protruding necks, they provide enough friction to the otherwise very slippery earthworms, and it helps in their locomotion. We have discussed the structure of body wall of earthworm in detail. Let's come to its functions, or what is the significance of body wall in earthworm. Of course, it maintains body form due to its elasticity. It protects against mechanical injuries, and the secretions of body wall like mucus helps in respiration because it keeps the body moist. It also helps in killing bacteria. Interestingly, the mucus which is secreted by body wall, it plasters the inner walls of burrows so that the sand or the clay does not collapse on the organism and it can move freely in the burrow. The albumin secreting cells which secrete albumin helps in nourishment of embryos in the cocoon. Sensory cells in epidermis, they help in reception of external stimuli, and accordingly they help the organism in reaction also. The setae which are present in body wall of earthworm along with the musculature, they help in locomotion. The next topic which we will discuss in earthworm is coelom. First we must understand what is coelom. Coelom is a body cavity, but not any body cavity. It is a special body cavity which is lined by double layer of peritoneum. And how that is double layer of peritoneum? External parietal peritoneum and internal visceral peritoneum. A layer of mesodermal cells which is present inside the body wall is parietal peritoneum because it is present on the periphery, and a layer of mesodermal cells which is present around the viscera is known as visceral peritoneum. So the cavity which is enclosed between these two peritoneums is known as coelom. And Annelida is the first phylum where true coelom has originated, and earthworm has true coelom. Now the coelom can be of two types depending upon its origin: schizocoelom or enterocoelom. When the coelom arises by splitting of mesoderm, we call it as schizocoelom. And when the coelom arises in the form of pouches from enteron or gut, or we can say intestine, is known as enterocoelom. So in earthworm, the coelom arises by splitting of mesoderm. So we call earthworms as schizocoelomates, or the phylum Annelida has schizocoelom. The coelom in earthworm is not continuous. It is divided into a number of compartments which we call as segments. And the partition of these compartments or septa, they are vertical and are formed by those two layers of peritoneum along with some interlacing bundles of muscle fibers. These septa are not complete. They are perforated by numerous sphinctered oval circular apertures. This is the diagrammatic representation of how a septa looks in earthworm, and through these circular apertures the adjacent segments can communicate. The coelom of adjacent segments, it can communicate. Usually these septa, they are enclosed by the contraction of these circular muscles, but when required they can open up also, and the communication between adjacent segments, that can happen. The coelom is not entirely insulated. As we know, it communicates to its external environment by dorsal pores. A small amount of coelomic fluid is always oozing out through these pores, which are present from 12th segment onward up till the second last segment. And that coelomic fluid which is coming out of these dorsal pores, it keeps the body moist and protected. Also, some of the nephridia which are present in these coelomic compartments, they open outside, which are exonephric nephridias. Usually in earthworm, the number of coelomic segments correspond to the number of external segments, except that first four segments, they lack septa, or we can say that first four segments are fused and are represented as one single coelomic compartment. The coelom in earthworm is filled with a milky white fluid which we call coelomic fluid, and it consists of plasma and four types of nucleated corpuscles. There are large granular phagocytes which kill bacteria and protect the organism. Circular nucleated cell, these are non-granular cells and are rounded in shape. They comprise of about 10% of coelomic corpuscles. Mucocytes are elongated and they have a broad fan-like process attached to their nucleated body. A special type of cell which is present in coelomic fluid is known as chlorogogon cell. These chlorogogon cells, they are small, star-shaped and as numerous as phagocytes. The clear function of these chlorogogon cells is not known, but when we stain these with iodine, they turn yellow in color. So we also call them yellow cells. As far as the function of chlorogogon cells is known, they are probably excretory in function because with time there is deposition of some nitrogenous waste in these chlorogogon cells, but they are never removed from the coelomic fluid. They always remain in the coelomic fluid along with that excretory waste. So if we summarize the functions of coelomic fluid, it forms a protective shockproof covering around internal organs, provides turgidity during locomotion and burrowing. It helps in circulation of nutrients from one compartment to another. The coelomic fluid keeps body surface moist for respiration as we have discussed. It destroys harmful bacteria and pathogens in soil by using phagocytes which are present in coelomic fluid. Chlorogogon cells of coelomic fluid, they help in excretion, and in some earthworms, the coelomic fluid can cause luminescence also, but not in Pheretima posthuma. The next topic in earthworm is how earthworm moves, or how the locomotion in earthworm takes place. The earthworms moves by using musculature and the setae which are embedded in their body wall. As we have already discussed, there are two types of muscles in body wall of earthworm, circular and longitudinal muscles. And the setae in case of earthworm, there are more than 8 setae which are arranged in circular ring-like manner in the middle of each segment in case of Pheretima posthuma. That type of arrangement is known as periketine arrangement of setae. But like I have shown in this worm, it is Lumbricine arrangement of setae, where usually 8 setae in 4 pairs are arranged on the ventral surface. If we talk about the mechanism of locomotion, it's very simple. In case of earthworm, the contraction of circular muscles lead to the thinning and elongation of body, and that segments of body move forward. While the circulatory motion muscles are contracting, the setae will retract. They do not attach to the substratum. The longitudinal muscles in adjacent segments, they are also contracting because there are waves of contraction of longitudinal and circular muscles which are going on throughout the body segments. When longitudinal muscles contract, it leads to the shortening and stiffening of those body segments. And setae in those segments, they kind of anchor to the substratum and help in dragging the body forward. In this way, there are alternate contractions of circular muscles and longitudinal muscles and attachment and detachment of setae which helps the worm in moving forward. Here I have given the link of a YouTube video where you can see the worm in locomotion, and you can easily recognize in which segments of body circular muscles are contracting and in which segments of body the longitudinal muscles are contracting. Let me show you. So here, now longitudinal muscles are contracting in this part. This is contraction of longitudinal muscles and this is contraction of circular muscles. And now again circular, longitudinal. There are waves of contraction of circular and longitudinal muscles which help the worm in movement. Till now, we have discussed the external morphology and associated characters of earthworm. Further, we will discuss the internal anatomy and the various systems which are found in earthworm. This is a picture of dissected earthworm where we can see major parts of digestive system which includes intestine, stomach, pharynx, parts of circulatory system where we can see these loop-like hearts and dorsal vessel is also clear, and a few parts of reproductive system like seminal vesicle. We will discuss all these systems in detail one by one. The next system of earthworm which we will discuss is digestive system. Digestive system of earthworm is divided into two parts, alimentary canal and digestive glands. Alimentary canal in case of earthworm is complete and is a straight tube-like structure which runs throughout the length of body. But as we can see in this diagram, the diameter of this alimentary canal is not uniform throughout. At some places it is thin, at some places it is thick. The alimentary canal starts with a slit-like aperture, we call it as mouth, which is present in first segment, which is also known as peristomium. Mouth leads into buccal cavity. Buccal cavity or buccal chamber is a short, thin-walled tube which extends up to the middle of third segment. Its lining, epithelium, is thrown into longitudinal folds. A thick mass of muscle strands connects it with body wall. These muscles serve to retract and extend the buccal cavity throughout mouth for picking up food particles during feeding or soil during burrowing. Buccal cavity leads into a small but thick pear-shaped pharynx, which is present in segment number 3rd and 4th. The wall of pharynx is also thick and is extended with muscle fibers which attach pharynx with body wall. If we look at the internal structure of pharynx, this is how it looks. Transverse section of pharynx of earthworm, which clearly shows that the dorsal wall of pharynx is exceptionally thick, making it appear like a bulb. It is known as pharyngeal bulb. It is thick because of presence of muscle fibers, a network of blood capillaries, and salivary glands. The lateral wall of pharynx are also folded inside like a shelf. The folding of lateral walls divide the chamber of pharynx into two chambers. Upper chamber is known as salivary chamber or dorsal chamber and the lower chamber is known as ventral or conducting chamber. It is conducting because food is moving through the conducting chamber mostly, and from the salivary chamber, saliva adds into the food. Several muscle strands extend from the surface of pharynx to body wall. These muscles serve to extend or compress the pharyngeal cavity. Obviously, the pharynx acts as a sucking and pumping organ, sucking in food and pumping the food backward into the esophagus. Esophagus in earthworm is a straight, narrow, thin-walled tube and has no glands. It is internally folded and it extends from 5th segment to the end of 7th segment. The esophagus leads behind into a small bulb-like oval, hard and muscular organ called as gizzard, which is lying either in 8th or 9th segment. The wall of gizzard is very thick due to massive circular muscle layers, as we'll see in the transverse section. Here we can see the wall of gizzard has extra layers of circular muscles. These circular muscles internally are lined by a layer of columnar epithelial cells, which is shown in blue color here. These columnar epithelial cells further secrete a layer of cuticle inside. One layer of cuticle is present outside the body wall. Another layer of cuticle is present in gizzard region in alimentary canal. Presence of this cuticle and the contraction of circular muscles leads to the grinding of food into fine particles. Gizzard is followed by a short, narrow and thin-walled tube which extends from 9th segment up till 14th segment. We call it as stomach. The anterior and posterior ends of stomach have sphincters, which means it guards the entry and exit of food into the stomach. The internal walls are folded transversely. They are highly vascular, means they are supplied with blood vessels, and glandular, but they are less muscular. The epithelial lining of stomach consists of two types of cells, glandular cells which secrete a proteolytic enzyme and calciferous glands. These calciferous glands, they are mainly excretory in function. They remove ions of calcium and carbonates from the blood and then they can excrete these ions and carbonates into stomach when the level of these ions become excessive in the blood, and they can be passed out with mud through the anus. Further, stomach leads into the widest and largest part of the alimentary canal, which is intestine. Intestine extends from 15th segment onward up to the end of body. It is further divided into various regions. The wall of intestine is very thin, highly vascular and glandular. It bears several villi-like internal longitudinal folds in most of its parts. And one of such fold is typhlosole, which is bigger in size compared to other folds. And depending upon the presence or absence of this typhlosole, the intestine is divided into three regions. Pre-typhlosolar region, where typhlosole is not present and intestine has started. The part of intestine which bears typhlosole is the typhlosolar region. And the last part of intestine which again loses typhlosole is the post-typhlosolar region. Pre-typhlosolar region is the first or anterior part of the intestine of earthworm, which lies between 15th to 26th segment. The walls of pre-typhlosolar region are folded internally to form highly vascular and minute processes called as villi. A pair of intestinal cecae are also present in the pre-typhlosolar region. These intestinal cecae externally are forwardly directed conical outgrowths from 26th segment which extend up to 22nd or 23rd segment. Internally, just like the wall of intestine, they also have many folds which form villi-like processes. They are highly vascular and filled with secretory cells. According to Chen and Pusch, these are digestive glands and they secrete amylolytic enzymes for digestion of starch. Pre-typhlosolar region is the region of intestine where active digestion occurs. The typhlosolar region of intestine lies between 26th to last segments except 23 to 25 segments in front of anus. The dorsal wall of intestine in typhlosolar region is folded inside like a ridge which is highly glandular and vascular. This folded ridge-like structure is known as typhlosole. As we can see in this permanent mount of transverse section of earthworm through typhlosole region, and this is the diagrammatic representation of the same. This ridge-like structure here is the typhlosole. The typhlosolar as well as the pre-typhlosolar region both are absorptive and digestive in nature. Digestion is facilitated by various digestive enzymes which are secreted in these two regions and the presence of the villi and typhlosole. It increases the surface area to make absorption effective and efficient. Post-typhlosolar region are the last 23 to 25 segments where no typhlosole is present. These segments are also known as rectum. These are thin-walled and vascularized, but no villi or gland cells are present in this region. The castings of earthworms are formed in post-typhlosolar region of intestine. We have discussed various regions of alimentary canal in earthworm. Let us discuss the histology of its alimentary canal, the wall of alimentary canal. It is made up of four layers: peritoneum, musculature, epithelium, and cuticle. Peritoneum is the outermost single layer of mesodermal cells. It is present throughout from mouth till anus. Some of the cells of peritoneum are modified around stomach and intestine. These cells are called as chloragogon cells, and they contain yellow refractile granules called as chloragosomes. These cells are also called as yellow cells. They might function as storage cells or sometimes as excretory cells. Musculature in the alimentary canal is also well developed. There is layer of both circular as well as longitudinal muscles. Although muscles are more developed in case of buccal cavity, pharynx and esophageal region, while these are poorly developed in stomach and intestinal region. There is an extra layer of circular muscles in gizzard region where longitudinal muscles are absent. The enteric epithelium is also present from mouth till anus. It is a layer of single columnar epithelial cells. Some of these are gland cells and some of others are nutritive cells. The enteric epithelium in buccal cavity, pharynx and stomach region is folded inside, while in case of intestine it is absorptive in function and is folded into villi. There is a layer of cuticle in buccal cavity as well as in gizzard region. In buccal cavity, there is a thin layer of cuticle which might protect the buccal cavity from hard or sharp objects which the organisms can ingest while feeding, while the layer of cuticle in gizzard helps in grinding of food into fine particles. The histology of gut wall helps us to understand the physiology of digestion in earthworm. In physiology of digestion, we study four steps: ingestion, which is intake of food, then digestion, absorption, and egestion, means removal of undigested food. Earthworm is an omnivorous organism. It feeds directly on organic humus, dead decaying matter, leaves, grasses, seeds, small protozoans, nematodes, insects, algae, and other microorganisms which are found in soil. Ingestion of food and soil happens by pumping action of its pharynx, and that is why the gut of earthworm is always full of soil. The muscles of pharyngeal wall and strands of muscle fibers which are extending from pharynx to body wall, they help in contractile sucking action of pharynx and ingestion of food. Digestion in earthworm is extracellular or intercellular, which means digestion happens between the cells, not within the cells. As earthworm is an omnivorous organism, various types of enzymes are secreted throughout its alimentary canal to facilitate maximum digestion of food. Inside buccal chamber, no digestion of food takes place. But in the ventral conducting chamber of pharynx, the food is mixed with saliva and proteolytic enzymes, which digest proteins. Inside esophagus, not much change in the texture of food take place. It just passes through esophagus while it is still being digested by the proteolytic enzymes of pharynx. Inside gizzard, when the food reaches mixed with saliva, it is finally grinded into small particles by the contraction of circular muscles and internal cuticle lining of gizzard. The finely grinded food which reaches stomach is further mixed with proteolytic enzymes which break down proteins into peptones and chalky secretions of calciferous gland which help in neutralizing the humic acid. Humic acid is present in soil which is ingested with food by the worms. Finally, the food reaches intestine, which is the principal site of digestion as well as absorption. Inside intestine, the food is subjective to the digestive action of various enzymes which are secreted by the glandular cells of intestine and intestinal ceca. Among the digestive enzymes, pepsin hydrolyzes proteins into proteases and peptones. Trypsin hydrolyzes proteins into amino acids, while amylases they act upon carbohydrates and convert them into monosaccharides. The lipases hydrolyze fats into glycerol and fatty acids, while cellulase hydrolyze cellulose into cellobiose and chitinase hydrolyzes chitin into chitin which is present into the food. In this way, the major constituents of the food are digested into their simpler forms ready to be absorbed in the intestinal epithelium. Absorption of food mainly takes place in the typhlosolar region of intestine. The digested food is absorbed by intestinal villi, particularly by typhlosole, and thus absorbed nutrients are passed to blood capillaries in the intestinal wall and circulated throughout the body. The undigested food and soil are passed through anus as earthworm casting which look like dicks at the opening of burrows of earthworms. And this is where we complete the digestive system of earthworm. This is end of part 1 of type study of earthworm. Let us go through some questions in the exercise. Very short answer questions. Write a short note on the following in approximately 20 words. What is prostomium? What is peristomium? Define pygidium. What are CT? What is typhlosole? Define coelom. What is clitellum? Define gizzard. What are genital papillae? What are chlorogogon cells? Here are a few short answer type questions. First, describe the structure and function of pharynx with well-labeled diagram. Second, what are CT? Write a note on the structure and function. Third, draw a well-labeled diagram of body wall of earthworm. Fourth, what is gizzard and its role in digestive system? Long answer type questions. First, write a note on digestive system in earthworm. Second, elaborate the external morphology of an earthworm with appropriate diagrams. Third, write a note on the following. A. Coelom in earthworm. B. Locomotion in earthworm. Here are two interesting assignments. First, observe earthworms in rainy season, click pictures of the castings and worms, and make videos of feeding and locomotion in earthworms. Second, make a project on role of earthworms in composting, which is also known as vermicomposting. Thank you very much. Keep learning.